Being made redundant is a challenging experience, especially when finding your next role takes longer than expected. Not only are there money worries, but also it can be hard to stay positive, stay motivated, and feel valued. In this episode, I speak to Simon, who, like so many others, faced redundancy during the current pandemic. He shared some great practical advice and wisdom that got him through this season, and how he came out the other side to a great new job. Cool. Well, Simon, thank you so much for joining me. It's great to be able to chat to you about what's been happening with you and what's been going on with your work situation. So can you start by maybe filling us in a little bit about what's been happening with you in terms of work since lockdown started?
Yeah, it feels a long time ago now. So I was initially, before lockdown, I was working at a marketing agency. When COVID initially hit, the contracts, the PR contracts started to dry up, and eventually I was placed onto furlough, which was it was understandable at the time because, of course, a lot of the contracts were being cancelled from the companies that we were working with, so there just wasn't the workload for me to do. And then as furlough carried on, as the lockdown it got extended, it kind of felt like a purgatory period for me with no end in sight. But eventually I got told that I was actually going to be made redundant from my role. So then I found myself in a period that I didn't know what I was going to do next, and I had to start looking for a new job. I spent some time looking for a job, and thankfully I started my new job in November, at the beginning of November.
So congratulations on the new job.
Thank you.
How's it going so far?
Yeah, it's going really well. I'm really pleased with where I've ended up, and my colleagues are lovely. I think it's definitely, although an unexpected change, it's been a change for the best.
That's really good. Take us back to the start. I guess that point where you found out that you were going to be losing your job. What was your reaction to that?
So, firstly, I think it was positive in a way, because I thought, okay, this is the perfect opportunity for me to maybe move in a slightly different direction, maybe go for something I wanted a bit more. In hindsight, it took a bit longer than I thought it would. But initially it was slightly naive, and I thought, great, I'll be able to find a job again easily. The other thing that I made sure I did was I reached out to people, and I let people, some of the closest people around me, know the situation, know what was happening. That was equally an important step, just so I wasn't going through it alone.
Yeah, that sounds like a great thing to be doing. So when you started looking for work, what was your process there?
So I had a 3-month notice period with the company I was currently working at, which was a really nice length of time. I think it gave me some time to firstly reflect and not make any snap decisions straight away. And actually, I took some of that time to try and upskill a bit, try and learn some new skills. So I did a course on web development during that time, and tried to learn some other aspects of marketing. I took some of that initial time to learn some new skills with the idea that it would help me find a job later on. And that really cut up nicely with a holiday that I went on. And then afterwards I had about a solid month of applying for jobs, reviewing my CV, those kind of things. And I thought, great, after a month I should be able to find another job easy. So during that time, I updated my CV. I reached out to recruitment agents as well. I did a post on LinkedIn as well, just to let people in the community know, any of my connections. It's a great idea, I think, where you have connections with people in loads of different industries. And it's an easy way, if anybody knows anybody or anybody's got a position open, it's a really easy way of getting into those kind of conversations. Um, in terms of I guess my daily routine, I would have a daily job check, see any openings, any vacancies available. I checked a few different, I had some kind of main sites that I cycled around. And I made sure as well that I would apply for at least one job every day. So I think my main goal there was just to feel like I accomplished it and I made a positive step forward every day. I would have applied for a job, even if it wasn't necessarily my dream job or something that I was particularly excited about.
Yeah, that sounds like a great thing to be doing, and I guess it's a tricky time as well. So like just building that routine and keeping active, I think is great for your kind of your mental health as well. And yeah, it sounds like really smart thing to be doing, getting a good routine. Um, so I know that there are a number of roles that obviously you applying for one every day. You obviously made a lot of applications. And I know there were a few roles where you got to like the final stages and ended up not getting that particular role. How did you kind of handle that happening?
I think initially the first time I got a response was a great signal, just for, I guess, my own peace of mind, that my CV was okay, that actually it was well received by the people recruiting, and actually that was the first kind of flag in my mind was, am I going to get any responses with the CV I've got? And yeah, after the first no I received from an interview, it it didn't hit me as bad as maybe it did further down the line. I think I had a few interviews in line at that moment, and there were a couple that I was particularly interested in and I really wanted. After those two interviews happened, there was one where I got down to the final two, and I kept on being told by various people how difficult the environment for job seekers was at the moment, and the sheer quantity of applications that were coming through. So in part, I was quite glad that I was actually making it down to the short lists to be interviewed, and for one of the jobs I interviewed for, I got down to the final two, which was, really positive. And I came out of that interview absolutely buzzing, thinking it's gone super well. The other candidate's going to have to blow their socks off, knock their socks off, if they're going to choose them over me. And then, of course, the call came that I wasn't successful that time, and that after that interview, I'd had 3 interviews up to that point. After that interview, I took it quite badly, purely because I didn't have anything else lined up at the moment. And so there was nothing else to look forward to after that time, which is where I learnt my first important lesson, some good advice and good wisdom from my dad, which was to always have something in the fire, have an iron in the fire, have something to look forward to, have something that I'm working on at the time. And then I got a few more interviews, and so more rejections came, and it was frustrating. And I think every time it kind of grated on me a tiny bit more, just because it was getting so close, but not quite to the end goal, and sadly there's no prize for second place when you're looking for a job. So yeah, as time went on, it was more of a struggle to kind of pick myself up from an unsuccessful interview. But and it's also, at times it's difficult. I found it difficult not to blame myself for the situation I found blame myself for ridiculous things that I could have done better, or things within the interview, things on my CV. I think that's a very dangerous spiral to get caught up in. And of course, with the pandemic, none of it was my fault. Loads of people are in the same situation. Loads of highly qualified, highly skilled people. And although I knew that in my mind, you still get those niggling little thoughts that crop up every now and then. So it was important just to kind of have that mental battle with myself as well. I think as time progressed, I relied heavily on the support of my friends, of my family, of my wife, my parents. The other thing that I did after I'd have a no response from interviewers was I gave myself some time to feel down, to kind of get upset about it. Maybe have a day where I didn't maybe do as much, or I wasn't productive. But I made sure it wasn't for long. It was only a single day, or it was a couple of days. And I made sure that I picked myself up again each time, and just focused on the next target, the next challenge ahead, and not kind of stay in that bubble of feeling sorry for myself.
Yeah, that's great. I think you've already shared some really great advice for people that maybe find themselves in a similar situation. I know right now, obviously, there are so many people facing redundancy, and a lot of people that are searching for jobs, which makes the whole searching for jobs thing even harder because it's so competitive, and things are taking a while for a lot of people. Is there any other advice that you'd give to people in that situation right now?
Sure. I think firstly there are jobs out there. There will be something that will crop up for people. I made the decision that I gave myself a timeline, and I gave myself an end date, that if I didn't get a job in the field that I wanted by that point, then I would just go for any job, because there are jobs out there. So don't lose hope. And it may only be temporary. COVID will end at some point, and then after then, jobs will come back up. There will be industries, like my wife works for the theatre. They're going to open up again, and suddenly all the jobs that had to be let go will open up again. So there are industries and jobs will come back again. Also, one thing is the future can be unpredictable. One thing that we really appreciated was that we planned for the rainy days. We planned for the bad seasons as well. So when I became redundant, when we lost my salary from our household income, actually we had enough in savings that we would be okay for a number of months. If it took that long, we would actually be okay financially, and we wouldn't suddenly find ourselves struggling to pay the mortgage or pay our taxes and our bills. Also, I think it's really important that you get some good advisors and some wise people around you. Get some people that you can seek wisdom from, and you can talk to. Like I said, I had my dad with me who has experienced redundancy in his life, so actually he was a really key person to talk to. He was a key counsellor for me, and he said he was reliving his experiences through me as well. So he had a lot of shared empathy. He understood the struggles that I was going through. Equally, my mum was able to help Lily in some areas, because it's a time of uncertainty where you don't know, you can't plan for the future, you can't really plan for anything ahead. So it can get quite down, and also for ways she was able to support me as well. Another thing is just, as I said before, make sure you've always got an iron in the fire. Make sure you've always got something else to look forward to. Even if you've got your dream job, you're confident that you can get it, you're confident that you can achieve it, just make sure that you have some other interviews lined up. When I got my job, when I accepted the offer, the feeling was so amazing when I was able to just reply to some interview offers and say, actually, I've got a job now, so I don't need to go to the interview anymore. And that feeling, that elation afterwards is brilliant as well. And I think crucially, don't dwell in a pit of despair. Don't let your situation define you. I think crucially, keep moving on, moving forward. We speak in the church a lot. It says in the Bible about walking through the valley of the shadow of death, and it's actually, we need to keep on walking. We can't just stay still in the middle of our trouble, because that will overwhelm us, and we won't be able to progress on from that. I think it could have been easy for me to straight away just give up all hope and not bother applying for jobs and just have a pity party for one, but actually keeping moving, having that routine, making sure that I had goals in sight that I was working towards, really helped me keep moving forward, and it helped with my mental health as well.
Yeah, that's so good. So just one final question as we wrap things up. You mentioned about your faith just then. Like, how has your faith in God been affected by this whole process?
It's been good overall. I think when you're when you're going through comfortable times, when you're going through good times, it's very easy to forget about God, or not forget about God, but it's easy to rely on Him less when you're going through comfortable times, even for people who've been Christians all their life, like I am. So I think when it initially hit, that's when panic starts to set in, and you that's where you realise whether you've got a firm foundation in God or not, because straight away I was able to bring the situation in prayer and seek God in prayer. But actually throughout the process, it was really good, because I was leaning into God more. I was depending on Him more. I was bringing my problems, I was bringing my concerns to Him more, and actually it was a good faith exercise overall to draw closer to God. I got a really good bit of advice speaking to my friend Angus, was that actually when praying to God, when asking Him to help in the situation, it's okay to demand more from God. I started off with my prayers being, if you can move in this situation, if you can help, if you can, if it's in your will, then you can make something happen. But actually, a good bit of advice he gave was actually, you can go to God and you can say, hey God, I really need you to move now. I really need some breakthrough in this situation. and I started praying more of those prayers, and pretty quickly afterwards was when a job offer came my way.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so good. Thank you so much, Simon, for sharing everything with us this evening. And yeah, just I think your experience and what you've been through, and the fact that you're through it and you're in a great job right now, and all the wisdom that you've shared this evening, I think that's going to inspire a lot of people and really kind of bring hope into people going through the challenging situation of looking for work. So yeah, thank you so much for what you've shared.
Thank you for having me.